Imagine if you could press a button and instantly become smarter. Better memory, laser focus, unlimited motivation. That's the promise the internet has been selling for decades. Whether it's entrepreneurs claiming one pill changed their life, biohackers swallowing 20 capsules before breakfast, or students looking for an unfair advantage before an exam, nootropics have become one of the biggest industries in health and fitness. But here's the problem. Most people think every nootropic does the same thing. They don't. Some simply wake you up. Some help you stay calm. Some improve memory over weeks. Some only work if you're actually deficient. And one of the most famous isn't even technically a nootropic. It's a prescription medication designed to keep people awake. So instead of ranking them from best to worst, let's organize them the way your brain actually works. Think of your brain like a high-performance sports car. You need fuel, you need electricity, you need a driver, you need maintenance, and you need the engine itself. Every nootropic improves one of those systems. Let's start with the one almost everyone already takes. Caffeine. If your brain had a sleep timer, caffeine doesn't reset it. It simply hides it. Throughout the day, your brain builds up a chemical called adenosine. Think of adenosine like tiny employees walking around your brain, putting out-of-order signs on everything. The more adenosine builds up, the sleepier you feel. Caffeine arrives before adenosine can, sitting on those same receptors and blocking the signal. The result? Less fatigue, more alertness, faster reaction time, better concentration. Notice something important. You're not actually creating more energy. You're borrowing alertness from later. That's why caffeine eventually wears off. And if you overdo it, your brain often responds with jitters, anxiety, and eventually a pretty brutal crash. Luckily, someone found a way to smooth out the ride. L-Theanine. If caffeine is the accelerator, L-Theanine is the suspension. Naturally found in green tea, L-Theanine increases alpha brainwaves, patterns commonly associated with relaxed attention. Not sleepy, not wired, focused. When combined with caffeine, many people experience better concentration with fewer side effects like shakiness or racing thoughts. It's one of the few supplement combinations that consistently performs well in research. Think of caffeine as increasing horsepower. L-Theanine simply makes the steering easier. But alertness isn't the same thing as energy. For that, we need to power the engine itself. Creatine. Most people think creatine belongs in muscles. Your brain disagrees. Despite making up only about 2% of your body weight, your brain uses roughly 20% of your daily energy. Every thought, every memory, every decision runs on ATP, your body's energy currency. Creatine helps recycle ATP faster. It's basically a rechargeable battery. For people who don't eat much meat, are sleep deprived, or under heavy mental demand, creatine may help maintain cognitive performance. Does it suddenly make you smarter? No. But if your brain is running low on fuel, creatine helps keep the lights on. Energy solved. Now we need motivation. L-Tyrosine. Have you ever noticed how your focus disappears after hours of stress? That's because producing neurotransmitters isn't free. L-Tyrosine is an amino acid your body uses to make dopamine and norepinephrine, two chemicals heavily involved in motivation, attention, and mental performance. During stressful situations, long work days, military training, difficult exams, your brain can burn through these faster than usual. Tyrosine simply provides more raw material. It's less like pressing the gas pedal, and more like making sure there's actually fuel in the tank before the race starts. Which brings us to something people often confuse with motivation. Memory, Alpha-GPC and Citicoline. Your brain communicates using billions of electrical signals. One of its most important messengers is acetylcholine. It's involved in learning, attention, memory, muscle contraction. Basically, if your brain is sending important information, acetylcholine is usually somewhere nearby. Alpha-GPC and Citicoline both increase the availability of choline, the raw material used to produce acetylcholine. That's why you'll often find them in study supplements and pre-workouts. They're not magic memory pills. They're simply helping your brain produce more of one of its most important neurotransmitters. But what if instead of improving communication, you wanted to improve memory itself? Bacopa Monnieri. Bacopa is one of the oldest nootropics in the world. Unlike caffeine, you probably won't feel anything today, or tomorrow, or even next week, because Bacopa isn't designed for instant performance. Studies suggest it may gradually improve memory formation after consistent use over several weeks. Think of your brain like a library. Most nootropics help you find books faster. Bacopa may help organize the shelves. Not exciting, but incredibly useful over time. Speaking of long-term effects, there's one mushroom you've almost certainly heard about: lion's mane. Lion's mane exploded in popularity after people started calling it brain fertilizer. That description isn't completely accurate, but it's not entirely wrong either. Research suggests lion's mane may stimulate the production of nerve growth factor, a protein involved in the growth and maintenance of neurons. Human evidence is still relatively limited compared to compounds like caffeine or creatine, but it's one of the more interesting areas of ongoing research. Think of it less like upgrading your computer and more like helping maintain the wiring inside it. Now let's deal with stress. Rhodiolo Rosea stress destroys performance. Not because stress is always bad, but because too much eventually overwhelms the system. Rhodiola is considered an adaptogen, meaning it may help your body better tolerate physical and mental stress. Some research shows reductions in fatigue and improvements in perceived mental performance during demanding situations. It's not giving you extra brain power. It's helping stop stress from stealing the brain power you already have. But one nootropic has been surrounded by hype for decades. Ginkgo Biloba ginkgo comes from one of the oldest tree species on Earth. The theory is simple: improve blood flow, deliver more oxygen, support brain function. The reality? Mixed. Some studies suggest small benefits in specific groups, particularly older adults, while healthy young adults often see little to no noticeable improvement. It's one of the most famous nootropics ever created. But fame doesn't always equal effectiveness, which brings us to the strongest compound on today's list: Modafinil. If caffeine is coffee, Modafinil is an entirely different league. Originally developed to treat disorders like narcolepsy, Modafinil promotes wakefulness for extended periods without producing the same stimulation as traditional amphetamines. People often describe it as feeling awake without feeling hyper. It can improve alertness, attention, and executive function, especially in sleep-deprived individuals. But it's also a prescription medication with potential side effects, and isn't something healthy people should casually experiment with. This isn't another supplement, it's a drug, and that distinction matters. Conclusion. So, which nootropic is actually the best? The truth is, that's the wrong question. Need to stay awake. Caffeine. Need smoother focus. Add L-Theanine. Need brain energy. Creatine. Need motivation during stress. Tyrosine. Need long-term memory support. Bacopa. Need help managing fatigue. Rhodiola. Looking for something stronger? That's where prescription medications like Modafinil enter the conversation. The biggest myth about nootropics is that there's a pill that makes everyone smarter. There isn't. Every compound solves a different problem, and understanding which problem you're actually trying to solve is far more valuable than chasing the next miracle supplement. Because in the end, your brain isn't missing one magical ingredient. It's a system, and every nootropic simply tweaks one small part of that system.